Hello, my friends. In today's episode on Grainificent, I will talk about the great life and legacy of photographer Yousuf Karsh, if I pronounced that right. If you like this type of videos, please remember to hit the like button. It shows the YouTube algorithm that these videos are worthy of showing to others. And hit the subscribe button. It shows me I make helpful and interesting content, and you don't miss any amazing content I post. So without further ado, let's get into the video. In the quiet corners of history, where light and shadow dance, there lived a man who didn't just take photographs. He captured souls. Yousuf Karsh, the legendary portrait photographer, was a master of his craft, a man who turned fleeting moments into eternal legacies. His lens didn't just see faces. It revealed the stories behind them, the triumphs, the sorrows, the mischief, and the majesty. But how does a boy from a small Armenian village in the Ottoman Empire grow up to become the most sought-after portraitists of the 20th century? The answer, like all great tales, is equal parts destiny, determination, and a dash of delightful absurdity. Yousuf Karsh's story begins in 1908 in Mardin, a place where the sun painted the streets gold and the shadows whispered of both beauty and hardship. His early years were marked by the horrors of the Armenian genocide, a tragedy that forced his family to flee. At 16, young Yousuf was sent to Canada to live with his uncle George Nakash, a photographer in Sherbrooke, Quebec. Now, imagine this, a teenager, wide-eyed and barely speaking English, thrust into a world of dark rooms and developing chemicals. His uncle handed him a camera, not as a toy, but as a lifeline. And Karsh, he clung to it like a sailor to a raft in a storm. His first attempts were, by his own admission, disastrous. Blurry faces, overexposed backgrounds, and more than a few frustrated groans. But Karsh had a secret weapon: persistence. He once said, "I learned early on that every failure is a lesson wearing a disguise." And so he kept clicking, kept adjusting, kept chasing that perfect interplay of light and character. In 1928, Karsh moved to Boston to apprentice under John Garrow, a renowned portrait photographer. Garrow was a man of exacting standards and a booming voice that could shake the dust of his studio walls. He didn't just teach Karsh technique, he taught him to see. One evening, after Karsh had spent hours painstakingly arranging lights for a portrait, Garrow stormed in, took one look, and bellowed, "Yousuf, light is not just illumination, it is drama, it is poetry, now stop wasting my electricity." Karsh never forgot that lesson. He learned to sculpt with light, to use shadows like a painter's brush. But more importantly, he learned the art of patience. Garrow often made him wait, sometimes for hours, before allowing him to take a single shot. A great portrait, Garrow would say, is not taken, it is given. By the 1930s, Karsh had set up his own studio in Ottawa, Canada. He was gaining a reputation, but fame? That came in 1941, in a moment so perfectly absurd it could only be true. A certain world leader was visiting Ottawa, a man known for his cigar, his scowl, and his refusal to sit still for photographers. Winston Churchill, the British Prime Minister, had just given a speech to the Canadian Parliament and was ushered into Karsh's studio. Churchill, in no mood for portraits, glared at Karsh and growled, "You may take one." One. Now, most photographers would have trembled. Karsh, he noticed Churchill's ever-present cigar. "Forgive me, sir," he said. And then, with the audacity of a man who had faced worse than an angry politician, he plucked the cigar right out of Churchill's mouth. The result? A glare so fiery, so indignant, that it became immortal. The portrait was a sensation, and suddenly the world knew the name Karsh. What made Karsh's portraits so extraordinary? It wasn't just his technical brilliance. It was his ability to disarm his subjects. He believed that the heart and mind are the true lens of the camera. And he used conversation, wit, and sometimes sheer stubbornness to reveal them. Albert Einstein, for instance, arrived at Karsh's studio muttering about equations. Karsh, undeterred, asked him about music. Einstein's eyes lit up, and suddenly the genius who unlocked the universe was lost in thought, his face a canvas of quiet wonder. Ernest Hemingway, notorious for hating photographers, grumbled through his entire session until Karsh mentioned fishing. The next moment, Hemingway was grinning like a boy who just caught the biggest trout of his life. And then there was Audrey Hepburn, who arrived expecting a formal shoot. Karsh, ever the charmer, made her laugh so hard she nearly fell off her chair. The result? A portrait that captured not just her beauty, but her joy. Despite photographing kings, presidents, and Hollywood stars, Karsh remained refreshingly humble. He once joked, "I have stood before emperors and Nobel Prize winners, and yet the most intimidating subject I ever faced was my wife's cat." The cat, for the record, refused to sit still. His home in Ottawa was a sanctuary of art, music, and terrible dad jokes. Friends recalled how he would play Beethoven loudly while developing photos, conducting an invisible orchestra with a pencil. His wife, Estrelita, often teased him about his serious artist persona, especially when he burned dinner, a frequent occurrence. "Yousuf can light a portrait like a genius," she'd say, "but heaven help him with a toaster." Karsh's career spanned over 6 decades, and his portraits became the defining images of an era. But his greatest gift was his belief in people. "Every face has a story," he said, "and it is my privilege to help tell it." In his later years, when asked about his secret, he would smile and say, "I treat the janitor with the same respect as the king, because in my studio, they are both extraordinary." Yousuf Karsh passed away in 2002, but his work remains a testament to the power of patience, curiosity, and the courage to snatch a cigar from Churchill's mouth. So the next time you look at a portrait, remember, the best ones aren't just taken, they're earned. And if you ever feel like giving up, think of Karsh, the refugee boy who turned shadows into art, one click at a time. And maybe, just maybe, keep a spare cigar handy. You never know when greatness will walk through the door. So if you liked this video, please remember to hit the like button. It shows the YouTube algorithm that this video is worthy of showing to others. And if you like film photography related content, videos like these, film cameras, darkroom stuff, remember to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any amazing content. And it shows me I make helpful and interesting videos. And if you would like to support my channel, so I could make more content, better content for you, there's a donation link in the description below. You can also support the channel with the support button under the video. And if you would like more bang for your buck, look into channel memberships where from $1 a month, you can see all the videos I make before they go public. So thank you for watching, my friends. Take care and see you in the next episode.